Hello. Happy Tuesday to everyone. I'm going to give everybody just a few minutes to come in the room. Hey, Cajun. Hey, Guru. Hi. Hi, you guys. So, I'll give the notification a few minutes to go out. Y'all know how YouTube likes to do me. Yes, it is, Cajun. Yes, it is. Hey, Hammond Boy. Hey, BMT. Thank you. But so yeah, I'm gonna give people a few minutes to come in. I see people coming in now. Y'all know my notifications be tripping and whatnot. But we are gonna talk about oh my God, BMT. So you know I'm about to get into it, like, cause I gotta make it make sense for people. Like, I don't think they be seeing what's down the road or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely get into that and tell them why we need to be paying attention to this type of stuff. Hey, Desmond. Thank you. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Scott. Hey, Liza. So I'm gonna it's so y'all haven't heard of this, I'm guessing, Scott. So this is the Equality Act that recently passed the House. Hey, Edward. It recently passed the House. Democrats voted for it unanimously, and then I think about maybe like 8 Republicans voted for it or whatever. But it's basically the Equality Act to include gender and sexual identity. So we're gonna definitely talk about it or whatever, and we'll get into it. Thank you, Aaron. So yeah, but I'm just giving people a few more minutes to get in here, y'all, and we'll get right into it. Hopefully, y'all day is going well. So let me get this pulled up. Ugh, really? Hey, Esau. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna jump right into it tonight or whatever, since I'm coming on here a little later than usual. But I'm gonna start by, let me see if I could pull this up. Reading this article on New York Times. I'm reading it from my phone, y'all, because I don't have a subscription and I barely read the New York Times, so I'm not getting a subscription. But I would definitely link it below if y'all want to go back and look at the article later. So I'm just going to tell y'all a little bit about it real quick. So this is from the New York Times. The name of the article is House Equality Act extends civil rights protections to gay and transgender people. All right, so the House passed sweeping legislation on Friday that would prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. The bill passed 236 to 173. Comes as the department across the Trump administration has dismantled policies friendly to gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals, like barring transgender recruits from serving in the military or formally rejecting complaints filed by transgender students who are barred from restrooms that match their gender identity. The question before us is not whether the LGBT community faces outrageous and immoral discrimination. For the record shows that it clearly does, said Representative Gerald Nadler of New York, of course. The question is whether we as a Congress are willing to take the action to do something about it. The answer goes straight to the heart of who we want to be as a country. And today that answer is yes. The legislation amends the Civil Rights Act of 1964, prohibiting discrimination of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in both the public and private sectors, offering civil rights protections in businesses, hospitals, and welfare services. It explicitly states that individuals cannot be denied access to a locker room or dressing room on the same basis. So, it's a little bit more to that article, but I think y'all kind of get the gist of what it does. So let me tell y'all some of the things that the bill could potentially do, and then we'll talk about this. All right. It could force employers to cover abortion and medical professionals to perform or assist in performing abortions. Could force employers to pay for sex reassignment procedures in the health insurance plans and require medical professionals to perform them. Could force schools and businesses to open their women's bathrooms, locker rooms, showers, and sports teams to boys who identify as girls and to men who identify as women. Could be used to force the military to pay for reassignment procedures and force the military to accept recruits suffering from gender dysphoria who are not combat ready. Force faith-based adoption agencies to either violate their conviction that every child deserves both a mother and a father, or to stop serving children in need altogether. Could force small business owners to violate their beliefs about marriage, sexuality, and gender, and threaten the freedom of speech, freedom of association, and free exercise of religion rights for countless people. Hey, Diana. So, all right. The Civil Rights Act. I can't even talk. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Let's just look and see what exactly does civil rights mostly includes. So civil rights prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Some examples of civil rights. Let me see. Some examples of civil rights would be let's see earlier. Broke it down really good. So basically prohibits like segregation, discrimination. Y'all know when people were marching in the 60s, these are the things they were fighting for access to different things and stuff like this. So, y'all, this would basically extend and provide legal support, first of all, for sexual preferences to be taught in schools. Okay, this is already happening in California. I've already told y'all a little bit about this already. These are programs that you cannot opt out of, and they are finding ways to put this into the curriculum for pre-K and elementary. It's already happening in California. It's happening right now. Not giving the parents a say. Parents are protesting. You can find information all over line about this, okay? This is why I always say, if you had an opportunity to homeschool, do so. You used to be really hands-on, and parents used to really have a say in the curriculum of what these schools were doing, but now they're pushing it further and further away from pretty much being able to do that, okay? So, not only that, all right, so this forces private schools, churches, hospitals, and businesses to recognize the gender of choice with sharing bathrooms, locker rooms, dorms, jail cells. um, two, it's one thing, right, to have to deal with things in a public sphere because we are adults. We are around several different type of people. We go into these public spaces. You automatically assume that everybody isn't gonna think like you, look like you, and this and the other. But particularly, thank you, Valdis. Hey, Valdis. Particularly when it comes to these schools, it is so freaking much going on in these schools. Y'all have to be paying attention to y'all kids, know what's going on in the curriculum. Hey, the way. And they know that parents are so freaking busy, right? Because you go to work, you work all day, you're doing this, you're doing that. You don't have time to be so heavily involved. A lot of these parents just don't have the time. It was literally a 5-year-old girl. Y'all probably didn't hear about this because these are not the kind of stories that the media is going to widely cover. But there was a 5-year-old girl in a Georgia school, young Black girl, who went into the restroom. Okay, this is when they made the bathrooms gender neutral, and a 5-year-old boy. And I don't even know if the boy was transgender or just a boy that was just able to just go in the restroom because the restrooms are gender neutral. But the little 5-year-old boy basically goes in and violates the girl, touches her inappropriately. So the mom tries to sue, and they're like, sorry, we're not reversing the law. We're not reversing anything on your behalf. And then you literally have them taking it up as a civil rights lawsuit against a little girl. But now you're saying that boy has the same access. So is this civil rights violation going to cancel out the other? Like a lot of these just gets like really tricky. Like even with sports and scholarships, I find it so odd that like women have literally fought for rights for so long to be able to attain equal rights to men. And now you are putting people that were born biologically male in a position to directly compete with women. If that's not a freaking brain teaser, I don't know what is. And then it's being said, right, that gender is fluid, right? Gender is naturally fluid. So I was watching this documentary on Vice about this family. I think they were in the UK, and this person was raising their children as gender neutral or whatever. And every day he would ask the child, today, do you feel like a boy or do you feel like a girl? You know what I mean? Like, that's literally the way it's being presented. So what happens if a child feels like, oh, my ninth grade year, I felt like a girl, but this year I feel like a boy. Or for this track meet, I feel like a boy, but today I feel like a girl. I mean, like, it's too much going into everything. Like, were you born this way, or is gender fluid and moving? Because if gender is fluid, that goes into more stipulations and confusion when it comes particularly to things like this, like sports. Then at you also have to look at scholarships. For fear of identifying themselves, people are going to lose scholarships. You literally have scholarships that were created for women. You have spaces that were created for women. And now you're going to be able to have people that were born biologically male, you know, going into these spaces. And it's so weird. It's so weird to particularly see Black people promote this, because a lot of Black people believe in safe spaces, right? Which allows you to come into spaces and keep other people out. But now it'll be discrimination to do that in other regards. Like, there was I think it was called Title 4. Let me see. Title 4 of the Education Amendment Act of 1972 is a federal law that states no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation and be denied the benefits of or be subjected to discrimination under any education, program, or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So not only would the Equality Act be directly in opposition to this Title IV, which was supposed to basically give an equal footing to women, particularly when it came to federal financial assistance, right? Women getting those scholarships, women getting those grants. Y'all have seen examples of transgender women winning in track and field, winning in wrestling, in boxing. Okay. Now, I told y'all I believe in small government. I believe you can be whoever you want to be in your mind. You can dress however you want to dress. But I feel like we really messed up when we started to say that gender norms is the same thing as gender. Okay. All women are not, quote unquote, the traditional sense of feminine. They're not. But does that automatically make you a man or male presenting? You know what I mean? I feel like that was the first mistake. Like, you should have had the right to be whoever you want to be, dress how you want to dress, but still and yet we identify things for purposeful reasons like this. When it comes to grants, when it comes to creating social clubs and social spaces, when it comes to separating people in jails and restrooms. We do freaking census where you have to identify who you are. So we have statistics and data, okay, to specify things and point to things. And now, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that now? How are you going to do medical studies to say X amount of men have cancer, X amount of women have cancer, and then people can identify either way? We need to know why whatever gender, whatever sex, biological sex, is more predisposed to these conditions. We need to know these things for a reason, for scientific data, scientific research. So people can look back and say, oh, 10, 20 years from now, these were the social norms. This is how things worked. Women were more affected by this, while men were not, and vice versa. But they literally want to eliminate this. They want to eliminate every aspect, every way for people to identify themselves, even when it comes to government and federal things. Hey, Beats by Blue. You literally have medical professionals who will now, under this type of law, would basically have to provide services like hormonal therapy, and puberty blockers to children, because technically you won't be able to discriminate. There are literally doctors being sued in New York for not providing certain services to children. I find it really odd how when it comes to abortion, right, we completely trust the doctors. We put all the trust. Oh, if the doctor says, she needs a third trimester abortion, we trust the doctor. We're all for it. Doctors wouldn't overstep their boundaries. Of course they wouldn't, right? But when it comes to this, it's like, nah, we ain't feeling it. You got to get this 17-year-old puberty blockers. You can't discriminate. I can't remember if this was in Ohio or New York. I think this was in Ohio. You had a 17-year-old girl, okay? A 17-year-old girl who was literally taken from her parents because they would not allow her to do any type of medical surgeries or anything medically to change her hormones. When I was in high school, you want to be a boy? You dress like one, right? Baggy shorts, big t-shirts, might have had braids or a low haircut. You just dress like a boy until you were 18 and literally could decide what you want to do because you're grown now. That was back in my day. And when I say back in my day, that's really not that long ago, you guys. Literally. Literally. You just dressed like a boy. You hung out with boys. Whatever. Now, we live in a world where the government can come in and say, you discriminating against your child. You know what? We're going to take your child. Do y'all know how much stuff I had to do growing up that I didn't want to do, but I knew I had to do because I was in my parents' household and that's just how it was? You just did what you had to do. As long as your parents weren't literally freaking physically abusing you. You just did what you had to do. You got to 18, and then it's like, bam, I'm out. I can do what I want now. But it's like, when you under my roof, you do as I say. This is literally such an overreach of authority where the government can literally come in your household and be like, you know what? We're just going to take your child from you. Because even though your child is still growing, still developing mentally and emotionally, and you don't see fit to give them things to alter their hormones and alter their gender, we don't give a crap about that. It's more like when I was young, you literally couldn't even get your ears pierced without your parents agreeing to it. You had to be 18 to get a tattoo. You literally had to be 18 to get regular ear piercings. Do y'all remember that? I don't even know if that's still a thing. But to literally put a hole in your ear, a 5-10 minute procedure, you had to have permission from an adult. But here we are now in 2019, and they want 17-year-olds to be able to go under procedures and life-altering medications to actually change their gender. Absolutely, Helena. Yes, you have to be 18 and you have to have a parent with you. But I would imagine the same thing for people literally trying to change their gender. I don't doubt that most doctors that do these procedures, right, and that are totally fine with it, I don't doubt if the child went there with the parent, they will be totally okay with giving them hormone blockers and puberty blockers and all this. I mean, that's literally, it seems to be the where we're coming to as a society. But when you literally tell your child, no, I don't agree with this, it's not time yet, wait till you're older, not under my roof. Man, it was so many things I couldn't do under my parents' roof. So many things that I've changed my opinions on mentally. Hey, Lavon. So many things that I've changed my opinion on. So many ways that I've grown as a person since I was freaking 18. Like, I just literally want y'all to look, literally, 18-year-old, you have to be 18 to put a hole in your ear compared to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds being recommended things to help change their gender. Does that make sense? Are those things equivalent? Hey, Neil. But these same politicians, right, that I'm sure are totally fine with these doctors being sued that don't want to perform these procedures and surgeries. They're totally fine with it, are not totally fine with it. But they're totally fine with the doctors having the last say so on abortions. But you're not totally fine with the doctors having the last say so on this. Like, I'm just trying to make it make sense. And I'm really just trying to put things into perspective. Then you also have to think about your private, you have to think about your private institutions, private companies that will be affected by these things, right? You have Christian schools, possibly Muslim schools, Catholic schools that will be impacted, that could possibly be impacted, even if a child that changes their gender is allowed to go to the school, to allow to participate in an organization. If that school just says, hey, we need you to, they can even say, hey, we want you to use the family restroom. Technically, that's still discrimination. That's still discrimination. You have facilities like jails. You have facilities for battered women, homeless shelters, where people may be victims of rape, sex trafficking, domestic violence. People can be dealing with mental and emotional issues from being in the presence of certain people, being triggered by that. And now you're going to tell them, because this is going to be eventually going to be the equivalent to racism. Hey, Antonio. This is basically going to be the equivalent to racism, okay? So if you're not accepting of this, you're basically going to be a bigot. You will be, you can be sued. Humble servant, this law is to force this upon private schools. This new law, it includes public and private companies and institutions. Hey, John. And so this is what you're going to have. In no shape, form, or fashion do I believe that people should be abused, harassed, treated badly for whatever lifestyle they choose, however they choose to dress, however they choose to identify. But literally, hey, Tony, but literally, when you blur lines to eliminate biological identifications, that literally touches every facet of life. It makes it a much deeper issue. It makes it a much deeper issue. And how people who fought for feminism cannot see that. I just can't understand it. And my thing is, if, because when you have children, that these boys that will change genders and perform in sports, right? Women's sports. I think they have to do the like the puberty blockers or hormone blockers, if I'm not mistaken, to compete. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong about that, but I think they do, even in high school. But if you literally spend 15 years of your life, right, being a boy, and you decide to change, you are literally still going to have this is just straight up science. When you look at science, right? Most oftentimes men are taller naturally. Do the freaking average. You can look at the average height in different countries. On average, people that were born biologically male are taller, which will help in sports like basketball. They are stronger. And so if you've spent 15 years being a male and then you go on hormone blockers at 16 and say, okay, now I want to compete as a girl, those puberty blockers are not going to put you on the same level as a girl. This is why you have seen literally MMA transgender fighters knock the heck out of biological women. Also, it makes me wonder, and I've been trying to do more research on this to get more information. But if men and women are the same, why are there not more women that turn into men competing in men's sports? Why is it the other end of the spectrum is not as many, and also they're not as highly competitive? So if we are the same, why do you have more instances of transgender women dominating in sports and no stories? If you know one, help me find one, because I love more research. But I have not seen, y'all, and I've looked, but I will look again. Not one measly story of a transgender man, so a person that was born biologically woman and is now participating in male sports, dominating in male sports. I have not seen it. I am accepting any research. Email me, drop links. I would love to do comparisons. But to this day, I have not seen it. Mr. Wusa said, and you won't. Humble Siren said, you won't see it. If we are the same, right? If we are the same, if a person that was biological woman now competing in male sports, if we are the same, why is there no examples that I can find of women competing at that same level, if not dominating? There should at least be one off top. Gotta be. If we're the same. Has to be. It just makes sense. Cajun said men won't complain about that too easy of a victory. But I just want to see it. I just want to see it from my own eyes. If we are the same, why? Because I like doing comparative analysis, comparative research. If men and women are absolutely the same, biologically the same, mentally and emotionally the same, because this is what they're telling us to believe, where are the transgender men completely dominating in sports? I just want somebody to show me for my own research purposes. Funzo said that's how far men will go to beat oppressed women. See, we'll always win. How can a woman that's really pro-woman, you're literally pro-woman, you've seen what women have been through, you've seen how far women have come. That is what pro-feminism or feminism is supposed to be. It's supposed to be pro-woman. If you are pro-woman, how can you simultaneously support such things that will eventually exclude women, take scholarships from women, prevent biological born women, take scholarships from them, prevent them from competing, prevent them from getting in certain schools, prevent them from getting certain awards? And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Every single time I talk about this, I talk about how forward thinking we have to be and how we are used for certain agendas. Women, Black people. This literally is piggybacking off civil rights. But if you know the Fourth Amendment, people already have are supposed to have, and the law is supposed to uphold equal protections under the law. But this is going to completely eliminate any type of biological self-identification. And when people feed into this, you affect people, you affect grants, you affect research, you affect data, you affect medical procedures. If men and women are the same, if transgender women and women are the same, when they go into the medical office, right? If a transgender woman goes into a medical office and is going to a new doctor, right? And you're going in there for some type of ailment, do you tell that doctor that you're a woman or a transgender woman? Because are transgender women going to be treated differently, right? Because we literally have certain procedures that go with certain body parts. We have pap smears, vasectomies, mammograms. Those procedures literally go with certain biological body parts, regardless of you saying, this is how I feel today. This is how I identify. This is done for a reason. This is done to keep people safe. This is done so the data and the research, the medical research has been done over the years, can be taken into account to save your life. These things are done for good reason. If I go into a doctor as a Black woman, there are going to be certain ailments, certain diseases that I have higher risk of obtaining than a white woman or an Asian woman, like heart disease. These are things that are important to know so I can be treated appropriately. We do these things with good reason. But now people are trying to find ways to tell you that these things are not with good reason. Also, what if certain organizations were to start to only or mostly include the transgender? I want y'all to think about that. What if certain organizations, so they could be a sports group, it could be a freaking book club, it could be a fraternity or sorority, it could be a school. What if certain organizations started to only or mostly include transgender people? Some people watching this gonna say, "Oh, Rhonda, you're reaching. You're taking it too far. That could never happen." Who's the primary benefit now of affirmative action? Hey, Monte, if you think I'm reaching, right? Because these laws are put into effect one way, and then it turns into something else. It spirals and it snowballs. If you think I'm reaching about transgender people, we can look at sports, right? If you think I'm reaching, who is the primary beneficiary of affirmative action? And who was it originally intended for? So it's not a reach. It's not a reach to think that these things can be put in place, and before you know it, you have an entire sports team that's completely made of transgender women. Because in a lot of instances, not all, but oftentimes, people who are born biologically male are going to be physically stronger, more highly competitive, taller. They're going to have larger hands and larger feet. So who are these scholarships and grants going to go to? It's not a reach. These are the things that people have to think about and see down the line. Y'all know I'm not against people having their own spaces. If you want spaces for like-minded individuals, like presenting individuals, I 100% support that. I'm completely for that. I'm not against that. People with similar ideas, similar motives, similar lifestyles. I'm totally for that. But when you start to blur the line of everything, identification is important for a reason. It's not a bad thing. And this is where they're trying to push it to, right? Because eventually we're all going to be the same. It's no coincidence that this is happening at the same time as no borders, right? People want to eliminate culture. They want to eliminate any type of identification groups. So Black people will allow other groups of people to come in and piggyback, right? Like, you see what happened with affirmative action. What like Where are we not connecting the dots? Like, where are people? Why don't people look at this and look at this and be like, huh? At least question it. I mean, at least, at the very least, even if you don't agree, even if you think it's wild, even if you think it's far-fetched, at least think about it. At least discuss it. At least look at it. This is the least you can do. Even the possibility of transracial. That's literally a thing now. It's a small thing, but it's a thing. And keep in mind, all things start off as what? Small things. Transracial is literally a thing. Nob asked me, what was black people supposed to do? Stop supporting. I'm going to tell you what black people are supposed to do. Stop supporting, stop aiding, stop piggybacking things that will hurt you and come to bite you in the butt. This is what my channel about. Maybe you're new here. Social norms become things, okay? I particularly talked about how ridiculous Black people overwhelmingly joining in the protest of believe all women, believe all women. Literally, Black women being the face, stopping people's elevators, knocking down people's doors, protesting in the streets, believe all women, not even being forward thinking that not even a year later, when 12 white women are sitting on a jury and send a boy to jail for kissing a white girl that agreed to go to his home, but you were aiding and telling them believe all women because now you are allowing things to become a social norm and you piggyback and ride the wave of everything the media is telling you, you are just as complicit. So that's what I think Black people should do. It doesn't matter it was mostly Black women. I'm speaking to Black women as well. I'm not just speaking to Black men. Everybody needs to be held accountable. Everybody needs to be forward thinking. And this is why people have to call these things out. So it's like, dang, well, I didn't even think about it like that. And if more people come to the conclusion, well, I didn't even think about it like that. I didn't even think that women are now the primary beneficiary of affirmative action. I can see that because I can look at history and see that. But now I'm allowing history. I'm aiding in history. I'm also a part of this social norm that's happening, just in a different facet. This is literally one level of history repeating itself, and people are looking right by it, not paying attention. So that's what I want Black people to do. Think about stuff before we just parrot what the media says. We're very good at that. We're very good at that. And I don't particularly blame people because it can be very hard if you're constantly hearing one narrative, it can become a part of your consciousness. It can become a part of your psyche. And so we need to fight those things and look at potential long-term impacts, both positive and negative impacts of legislation and social norms that we bandwagon. That's what I want Black people to do. People not thinking about The transracial thing. That's going to happen. It's already happening. But it's going to happen even more with time. Let me show y'all these. You literally have people who think they are another race. Regardless, I don't give a crap. Y'all, I grew up with all type of people, okay? Mostly around predominantly Black people. But I grew up with some white people and even Asian people who very much so, in a way they speak, the way they dress, the food they like, could be, some of those things could be, the music they like could be attributed to Black culture. But you can't get on a freaking census and say you're Black. So where do we draw the line? And people don't think about these things going into the future. Do y'all remember this guy? Anthony Lennon in the UK. He was in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. Anthony Lennon. You had a lot of Black people talking about this in the States. A lot of Black YouTubers talking about this. This is Anthony Lennon. He looks like he could be multiracial. But this is a white guy, possibly with some African ancestry way back. Neither one of his parents were Black. But you had people in the States mad because this guy took a grant, okay, that was for directors, art directors, for people of color. He took the grant. You can go read stories on this guy. This guy says, he literally thinks he's Black. He grew up acting as a Black guy, so why not? And I've also told y'all how dangerous that term people of color can be. Another thing that we didn't think all the way out. Under these umbrella terms, people of color, it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to identify with your culture. It's okay. Literally. It's okay. And even if he wants to dress the same, look the same, I could care less. I don't really get into people's personal choices. Who gives a crap? But when you literally are coming in to undermine people who those grants are for, those spaces are for, hey, camera stage, that's when it becomes problematic. People were so mad. People were mad about that. Rachel Dolezal. You literally had Rachel Dolezal. I don't give a crap about Rachel Dolezal's hair. It is the least of my concerns. And I mean, just really not much to even really care about. I don't care about her tan. But when you go into spaces and start identifying yourself as Black, that's where it becomes problematic. Going to Howard, accepting like certain scholarships, and then you turn around and sue. I think she went to Howard, y'all, if I'm not mistaken. But I think she had some type of lawsuit against Howard for discrimination. But she thinks she's Black. Does that give her the right to take grants, to go into spaces that were not intended for her and undermine the people that these grants and opportunities were there for? Transracial, this is a thing. This is happening now, y'all. This is not some outlandish theory. Sean King. Morehouse graduate. If I'm not mistaken, also went on scholarship. Literally leading Black spaces and Black movements. Houseway. Elizabeth Warren. Straight up white lady. People were so mad. People were so mad finding out that she is not Native American. People were so mad that she was presenting herself as Native American and possibly was granted certain opportunities as a Native American. But where is the line drawn? If somebody says, I identify with this, I feel this way, I know I am, I don't care what type of culture, food, social groups, whatever. Elizabeth Warren wants to be associated with. At any time. It's a free freaking country. But when you literally become a part of social discussions, it becomes social norms turn into laws. You cannot do anything but blame yourself for not seeing what's down the road. We have to stop being used for things without fully thinking them through, without looking at potentially negative impacts of these things, how they can affect us. Oftentimes, we are just caught up in silly headlines that don't really matter. They're very personal issues or drama or whatever. But these laws actually impacts people, actually impacts people's lives, actually impacts data and research and analysis and medical procedures and people going to jail. These are real things. And so, like I said, and I'm going to say this again because people love to misconstrue things and put words in people's mouths. So I want to be very clear. I'm very small government. I feel like a lot of these people have agendas. And within small government, I feel like you have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of privacy. You can dress how you want to dress. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. You can fall into any social gender roles that you want. That doesn't bother me. Where it bothers me is this blurred line of when it starts to ripple effect and impact everyone else. Impacting these kids in the schools. I told you about the 5-year-old girl that was violated in a school restroom because of gender neutral bathrooms. When we don't look at these things, we don't look at long-term effects, we don't look at other groups or other identities that will try to at some point try to use these laws or try to further impact social norms. I did a video where I showed y'all in California, they are teaching pedophilia and pederasty in California schools as a sexual orientation. Who's going to draw the line and where? Who's going to draw the line and where? That's all I want to know. And we have to be forward thinking. People will think stuff like this doesn't matter, but literally people will get on YouTube and make 4-hour panels about a freaking shirt or a hoodie at Gucci. You see what I'm saying? Like, so which one is more impactful? Which one is going to touch your everyday life? Which one is affecting laws that affect you? So, but anyway, this did pass the House. Democrats passing it unanimously, and then you also had a few Republicans voting for it as well. I'm really bothered by the fact that a lot of times on certain issues, people just feel like, they can't cross that political aisle, like they have to be in that box. And it says a lot, honestly. Elroy said they don't care as long as it doesn't affect them. Levon said the media has the masses blinded with the gravity of misdirection. Cajun said it won't pass the Senate. Cajun, the crazy part about it is, even if it doesn't pass, the Senate, like, even if it doesn't pass the Senate, this is kind of the direction that we're being pulled into. So if it doesn't pass the Senate today, what about tomorrow? You know what I mean? So these are the things people need to be aware of. Humble servant said only a small amount of people really care. That's the problem. But like, how can we make them care though? Like, that's the crazy part to me. And that's the part I don't really get. How do you get people to care? But if I tell you that such and such made an ad, it'll go freaking viral. An ad saying anything bad about, black people, anything bad about gay people, anything bad about women, it'll go straight viral. It could be a magazine ad that literally will not impact your life, your children's life. You probably would have never even saw it if it had not gone viral. People will talk about it for days. But literally laws that could, and I told y'all, a lot of these times, these laws end up just criminalizing more people. And so now you have more people in jails. And so oftentimes they'll create these laws that look like they have good intent, right? because I don't want transgender people being assaulted, for just living. I don't want that. You know what I mean? I don't want transgender people being hurt. I don't want transgender people not being able to work. I don't want that. And so they make these laws seem like they have really good intent. And then when you start to look at the nuances, it's like, but now you're telling me that somebody born male somebody born male but identifies as woman can identify on the census same as me. Now somebody born male can go into the restroom with my child. Now somebody that was born male can compete for the scholarship that I was supposed to get to go to college. I mean, these are the things we had to look at. Tassetti said those ads are being made viral by the mass media and corporations. You're so friggin' right. You're so right. We are diluted. I don't even know if that's the word I was looking for. But we are constantly hit with stuff that doesn't matter. Literally. I mean, it just in a larger scheme of things, with everything that's going on in the world, it just really doesn't matter. We will be emotionally manipulated. We will be mad to have this visceral reaction to stuff that in the grand scheme of things doesn't freaking matter. And in the things that we should have these really tough discussions on, to say, hey, let's look at some things. Let's look at some negative things it is, positive things it is, how it could potentially impact us, what this can mean for the future, what this can mean for our children. People ain't hearing it. No, not hearing it. People don't give a crap. People don't freaking give a crap. When Alabama did that law about the stricter abortion ban, went viral. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody and their mama talking about it. Whether they agreed or disagreed, talking about it. But when people were talking about the other side of the coin, when a bill just as what some people call extreme took place in New York, people didn't give a crap. When they were pushing third trimester abortions, which is just the other side of that coin, people didn't give a crap. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you do? So, anyway, I will continue doing what I can. Y'all know YouTube like to not send people out my notifications. They will remove my subscribers a few at a time. They will shadow ban me and things like that. But I will keep going forward, because if one person can hear, hey, I feel like I've done what I can. You know what I mean? So I've done what I can. We really have to look at things in context and perspective of how they're happening, not always looking at the emotional side of things or the way things are being presented to us by the media. Oh, thank you, Esau. I try. It does get a little discouraging sometimes, honestly. Especially like some people, and I'm not knocking anybody, I'm just saying this in general, but like you have a lot of people that will get on YouTube and they basically make opinion videos, and nothing is wrong with that because I also make those videos as well. Because you can see a headline and just go off and talk about it for an hour, but I literally do hours of research, y'all. Literally. It may not seem like it because it's like, oh, she just come on here and talk for like 5 minutes, 14 minutes. She do a live for an hour. I research for hours. I be wanting to know the context of like how this is going to work, what other countries have tried these things, have anything like this happened here similarly. Like, what does this mean for certain groups? What does this mean for affecting conversation and social norms? How will this impact culture? Hey, all right. But literally, I will research for hours. And it's very discouraging that you will have, regardless of how long the video is, and you will turn around and have YouTube shadow banning me. So yes, it can be very discouraging, but I'm gonna try to continue doing um what I do. Hey, all right. Hey, Uncle Sub. Thank you, Levon. Levon said you are excellent on what you are doing and gathering information, correct information. I wish more people do that instead of listen to the media. But the crazy part about it is, like, I don't feel any type of way about people that don't. Let me tell you why. Because we've kind of been put into this system where they almost make it impossible. They literally almost make it impossible. We are constantly working. Most people are working 40 hours a week. You have people who have children. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're trying to have a social life. And the closest they get to information is the small time they might spend watching TV. And so if you have a media that is constantly lying to you, I just hate that. It's really not fair. It's really not fair, and it really sucks. And I hate that so many people, even to this day, still think or assume that the media tells them the truth or gives them the complete story. It's just not so. And so all I can do is try to encourage people to be more involved, but you can't really make them. I have one of my homegirls that subscribed to my YouTube channel, and she told me, she was like, Rhonda, I love you, girl. I support you. She said, but man, sometimes I just want to just listen to other stuff. Sometimes I just don't want to hear anything so serious. I can't do anything but respect that. People go to you go work 40 hours, you dealing with this, you dealing with that, you adulting. And sometimes people just only care what they care about. I mean, so it is what it is. But my thing is care about what you care about. Don't care about what the media tells you to care about. Don't have fake outrage. And don't pretend to care. You know what I mean? Don't pretend to care. Don't, when the media hits you with this story, now you all fake outrage when any other day you really wouldn't care. That's the really bad part. So but yeah, right. They just do me any kind of way. I was just talking about that, how YouTube won't really send my notifications out like they used to. Like I had way more people getting my notifications when I was like at half the subscribers. Which is crazy. So thank you, Khalid. I'll try to. But all right, y'all. So that's all I had to say for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I think I have like a couple of more videos that I want to do this week, so y'all definitely be on the lookout for that. Some ways that y'all can support me while YouTube is shadow banning me is to share my videos with your friends, family, social media. Watch my lives. I'm pretty much here at Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes the last 2 weeks, 7:30. But that's okay. But somewhere within there. Oh, thumbs up and commenting, y'all. Thumbs up and commenting. I don't care if you put a freaking thumb emoji in the comments. When you're commenting and interacting with the video, it affects the algorithm. So, but y'all always chatting with me in my live chats, but more so like the regular videos. Any type of commenting that helps as well. But all right, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Thank y'all so much for always supporting me. Thank you for the super chat, Valdez, and y'all have a good night. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.